hard, every float. Run until you drop. The psychological limit is a lot closer than the physical limit. Remember, when you're tired and you think you can't go any further, you can. Do it and see how you go.
He was such an example setter, I suppose. It was a matter of the gospel according to St Kennedy.
Bomber, if you get beaten, that's one thing. But if you don't get up and chase, that is another thing, and that's inexcusable.
Yeah, the single most respected person that I have ever had the pleasure to know and to work with. Very just person, tough as nails, but a man of literature. I mean, I'd be in the front row for his pre-match addresses or meeting addresses because we get a bit of Marx and some of the Bible and a bit of Winston Churchill, all wrapped up with some of Alan Jeans and Norm Smith.
In 100 years of football, few people have influenced a club so dramatically as John Kennedy has Hawthorn. Kennedy revolutionised football's attitudes to fitness. His troops marched into folklore as Kennedy's Commandos. His coaching put a new emphasis on team discipline. His values were as Victorian as his brown raincoat.
Trouble with this generation, he said, you got dollars on your back and fast cars in the car park and brute under your armpits, you know, and like, well, you're laughing and we were laughing, but I can tell you in the room, whilst the seats were all shaking and people inside thought it was very funny, there was not one face that showed any mirth or humour whatsoever.
Kennedy set up a commando-style training camp alongside the Yarra River at Bulleen.
It was an idyllic setting with trees, and gum leaves and sandbags and running through the trees. You couldn't ask for a happier venue for training. And everybody turned up smiling and they enjoyed their training.
When we used to train at Bulleen, at the Commando course, he would run from home and be there when we got there. Now, as far as I can make it, it would have taken him at least 3/4 of an hour to an hour. So if we got there at 6, he must have started running at 5 to get there.
As the sun came up, we got through the trees and carried the sandbags and came across the river on a rope, you know. A lot of us are more concerned at how we look than what we do. And it doesn't matter really whether you've got a broken nose or black eyes. You mightn't cut a figure with the girls, but you can still get a kick because it doesn't matter above the neckline.
Hawthorn's military-style discipline forced other clubs to double their training.
It was deadly serious for me, football. It still is. It was deadly serious at the time because we had been beaten so often.
The rain comes in, there's the final siren, the final siren. And Hawthorn are premiers for the year 1961.
What we wanted was respect. I don't care whether they hated us or not. That didn't matter. We won the premiership and they gradually came round and they respected us.
What about the ovation at the ground tonight? How was that down there?
They were all there, all the supporters. There were thousands of them there. It surprised me, really.
But I didn't realise how little boys and old people, over 80, under 5, under 6, were so thrilled to see the team win the premiership. And it gave football for me another dimension besides just win at all costs.
Takes the mark, plays on immediately.
The man in the overcoat had set the standard for Hawthorn, which powered to 9 flags in the next 30 years, including a record 13 successive finals, inspired by champions like Matthews, Scott, Knights and Tuck, and driven by a succession of coaches in the Kennedy mould.
At least do something! Do! Don't think, Mick! Don't hope! Do! At least you can come off and say, I did this! Or I shivered it! Or I played on! At least I did something!
Talk your damn head off. Get across